So anyway, for anyone not familiar with this game, but has tuned in anyway, first of all, thanks. Hope you enjoy. Second of all, this game is the spiritual successor of the Quest for Glory series. And it is in fact set in the same game universe and was written by the same head designers. So a lot of similar concepts to the Quest for Glory hybrid adventure game / RPG series. A lot of those same concepts will be found here in Hero U. This is Rogue to Redemption, so we will be in the Rogue class, both from a RPG terminology stance that we are playing as a Rogue, and also from the fact that this is Hero University and we are in the literal Rogue class within that university. So, our goal for this speedrun is going to be to become Rogue of the Year. This is credited to you for having done various heroic deeds in a roguish fashion, is the general idea. In practice, what it means is that we need to acquire 4 votes for ourselves. For the main character, I guess I should say. I'm kind of dithering on whether I'm using the plural form for me to try to include the viewers or not. Anyway, the point is we will get the votes of 3 other classmates and ourselves, and that will turn out to be enough to be elected Rogue of the Year. The teacher of the class also has some say in the matter. However, it will still wind up being us, as long as everything goes to plan. So, turns out there's actually a lot of stuff we can skip that would seem like things we should have to do, but we can be pretty minimalist, and I'll try to explain as we go along why I'm doing those few things that I am doing, as well as some of the things that become available on certain game days that I'm not participating in, and why I don't have to. So, no further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Alright, so first I'm pressing escape to skip past the initial video cutscene. Or not. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is not the thing I thought I clicked. Okay, so objects, turn lamp on for 3, 3, 4, 5, 5 to get out of there. I'll go ahead and grab some change here. I don't think I really need this. This gives me 1 more bandage worth of safety, which wound up mattering the last time I was here. Alright, so 1. So for a lot of this, you can use... Whoops, that's not what I want. There we go. For a lot of this, you can use the number keys on the keyboard in order to quickly select a particular option. Okay, 4, 3. So I have notes for all the options I want here. What's going on here is character creation. It's a personality test to try to decide which class you go into. And I chose options that would give me more perception because I'm going to need that down the line. And then some charm as well, because Esme tends to like that. For the most part, that's not really going to matter. Should have chosen 2 there. Whoops. Oh well. Probably doesn't matter. I can also use the number keys in order to switch my movement stance. So there I just press 2 in order to go to running stance. Once I can sneak, I'll use 3 to go into that. Whoops. I had my cursor a little bit too far down and I actually selected an option I didn't mean to there, so that incurred extra couple text boxes. I'm going to the library. I need to do a couple things here. One, I need to get lockpicks. Turns out that lockpicks are actually in the beginner lockpick book up here. So there's a dog there that wants his bone. It's the ghost of some... I think I read a wrong book there. Hopefully it won't matter. Ultimately, I need to get 70 lockpicking skill in order to get through the golem room. Alright. So, the other thing I needed to do in here was just expend time. The dinner becomes available. You can go to dinner once 5 o'clock arrives. And then once 6 o'clock arrives, you are forced to enter dinner if you hadn't been there yet. So, dinner time, there's often a lot of interaction with the other people. Sometimes you get choices to actually talk about. So here I had to talk to Turk for a bit, so I chose option 1, which was to actually be polite to him. Turk is kind of a jerk, and we'll see that more later on in the run. But if you're too much of a jerk to him, he will award you demerits, and 100 demerits, and you actually lose the game. Alright. So, after dinner, on essentially every day, there's a couple exceptions, but on most days, I will be following up by doing one hour nap followed by sleeping. This will advance us to the next day. I have to make it all the way over to day 50 to complete the game. So, since I don't have to do nearly enough stuff to actually fill those days in order to become Rogue of the Year, I'm going to be doing as much sleeping as the game permits me to do in general. So, what I just did there was I went into the locker room, which for a rogue is a place to practice your lockpicking skills. I need 70 lockpicking in order to get through the final lockpicking blocked challenge of the game. So because of that, I'm just going to get all of my lockpicking grinding done early on, because I do need some of it by day, I think it's 6 that I do my first trip, maybe day 5, I forget. Anyway, somewhat early on, I need to be ready to head into the wine cellar. And there are some locked doors there that I need to deal with too. So my notes say sleep asterisk here. The asterisk means that there is something on the bed that I need to ignore. So I need to adapt my inputs to accommodate so I don't accidentally read it, because that takes some extra time. Now we're on day 3. This is the Way of the Cockroach lesson. This gives us the sneaking skill, so now we can sneak if we want to. I'm going to sell a couple of things here to Joel. Gregor wouldn't accept those items if I tried to sell them at the main school shop. Oh, whoops! That's not what I meant to do. I need to do the lock room still. So apart from getting lockpicking skill, another thing I'm doing occasionally here is I'm looking at the lock that I'm practicing on. Eventually this will give me a little bit of extra perception skill. There is a secret passage that I must enter in order to save Joel Cairo later. In fact, it was the person we just did some shopping from. But yeah, in order to save him, we're going to have to find a secret passage. And to the best I can tell, the only way to make that happen is to have 35 perception. You can do all sorts of things that make your character understand that there should be a secret passage there, but unless you have 35 perception, you cannot initiate the puzzle. Okay, so we're done with this day. You may notice in the lower left corner that the stealth option is now available. Before it was darkened out. So I'm now allowed to sneak around. The rate at which sneaking around increases your sneaking stats, the rate at which that happens is inversely proportional to how much you have already. So what happened in this class was the introduction of the Rogue of the Year competition, and I voted for Esme. Esme is the rover, and she... Alright, so I have the perception skill I need. I only actually need one extra point beyond what I started with. I'll get into why later. But anyway, the reason I need Esme to like me, and that's why I voted for her in that initial poll there, for who we thought was going to win. The reason I need her to like me is that she will only join you to help defeat the first boss of the game if you have somewhere around 50% relationship status with her. So even though the relationship screen does not actually list her yet, it still is keeping track of how the relations are changing. Once I actually talk to Esme, that is when when she'll actually be shown on the relevant screen. I just got demerits there. There's no way to avoid getting demerits on this day. Turk is just a jerk. Whoops. Oops, wrong one. There we go. So I could have gotten some extra relationship points for Esme by talking with her in the courtyard after her date with Sosi goes poorly. However, I don't actually need to do that. There's a couple of very high value gifts that I can give to her. One by proxy and one directly. So yeah, I'll be giving those gifts after I've acquired them from the wine cellar. So, speaking of the wine cellar, tomorrow is the day that I will head down there. It's the first dungeon of the game. There's a bunch of dire rats in there, also called drats. You can take some drat meat over to Gregor, and he will pay for it. I don't really need to do that. The only thing I actually need to buy in the game is the Houdini 42 Advanced Lock Picking Tool. There's another advanced lockpicking tool that you're supposed to get called the Trap Tapper, but by not getting it, I will automatically fail the test where you're supposed to have it. So that will actually save some time down the line. Once again, I have to be careful about how I go to bed here so I don't read the note. My notes say that I want to choose option 1 in this class. This class is about... It's about sneaking again, but it's about not being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's sneaking by just not being where you shouldn't have been in the first place. So, I think this is the second to last day I'm going to be practicing my lockpicking skill. However, today is going to be the big day for my first trip into the wine cellar. This trip is primarily to acquire the gifts so I can very quickly get on Esme's good side. The other point of this trip is to open up the path so that whenever I return down there, I will, at that point, be able to just immediately go down to where the brooch is. Alright. So I do need to get some oil from Gregor. This will do important things for me at 2 spots in order to... I'm going to get 3 bandages so I can heal wounds if I need to. Oh, wait. I need to equip my dagger before I go down here. Alright. Gregor won't let you in if you haven't equipped your dagger. I'm now going to do a safety save. Once I get a little closer to the first dangerous area. So, the dog there was actually Esme. Esme is a shapeshifter. Alright, so examine the gate. Oil the hinges. If you don't do this, you actually get ambushed as you enter the gate here. Go ahead and sift through this refuse. I'm now going to switch to stealth stance, and I'm going to try to kill the 3 drats that are on the right side of this room via... Oh, that's not good. Okay, at least the other drats in the room didn't get aggroed here. I'll go ahead and use 1 bandage. Alright, sneak over. If you get to the backside of a drat and then initiate combat, you can stab them in the back, and as long as you hit, which is not guaranteed because I haven't trained my combat at all. You're supposed to do a bunch of practice against combat dummies and then, like, do some fitness training with the barbells in the training area. That you're supposed to be going to the training area every single day, and I have yet to go there, and in fact, I will never go there, ever. I have no incentive to do so. Alright, so that's that one taken care of. There's a leather jacket available to the north. That's another way you can actually get Esme to like you. Apparently, if you wear the leather jacket, you look hot, and she likes that. I think if I go over here, he won't notice me. Alright, good. If enemies haven't detected you yet, you have a little bit of leeway whenever you move around near them, where you can get some extra turns for just positioning. I'm picking up some chalk here. I could pick it up in the store as well, but... if I'm in stealth mode, I can get a lot closer to enemies before they actually notice me. The north side of this room has a couple of wine bottles that you can actually use. Most of the wine bottles in the wine cellar are empty and not usable. Ah, crap. Here's hoping that's the only drat that saw me. Alright. If you're too close to other enemies whenever you start attacking, they will notice you. This next room, I'm going to drop another safety save for. Because if I get into combat here, I'm just dead. With the drats, I can fight them. These approaches will kill me. Alright, we're good. So this gate was barred. Now this is a quick entrance back to where I was there. On the southwest side of that same room, there's a door we call the danger door. Because it is in fact labeled with the word danger, apparently. And you need to oil and unlock it, and you're only allowed to go through it on day 11 or later. Behind there is where the first boss is, and I need to make Esme like me before that happens. And I just realized I was supposed to give Esme the gifts there, and I didn't. I should still be okay. See, test is 2, 3, 5, 3, 4, 2, 5, 4, 3, 5. According to my notes. Hopefully I can still get what I need to from talking with Esme. This is my last day practicing lockpick training, by the way. But I need Esme to like me. So I need to give Katie some of that golden wine that I found. And she'll share it with Esme. And then I'll give Esme the beaded necklace I found. And then I also need to say something that Esme will like. And that's the part I'm not actually sure if I'm going to be able to do on this day. Because my notes are for the conversation options that are available on day 6. This is day 7. It's immediately after the exam. It's likely that they're going to say different things. In fact, tonight is... yeah. Tonight is Poobah night. I'm not sure if there are any options that'll generate... Ah, even worse. I can't actually do the sharing gift thing tonight. Turk wants me to go spy on my teacher, Master Urwald. Yeah, I can't actually deliver the gifts on this day. I'll have to find another day to do it. I have to do it before, I think it's like day 20 or so, is when I go to defeat the giant roach. So as long as I do it before then, I'm okay. So this is the first of the 3 days. There's no class on this day, so that means that we have more time to work with. So if you're playing this game normally, you would go to like the practice room and be able to train all your skills rather than just some. However, we basically already have all the stats we really need. We will eventually need more perception than what we currently have, but we will get more perception from class, and also, just remembered, just go ahead and equip it now, the star ring that I found in the kiln by sneaking past the rats / killing them, that gave me +5 perception as well, so I didn't have to train that nearly as much as I otherwise would have had to. Today, I believe people are out and about and not in school, so I won't be able to give Esme her stuff today. I think... Whoops. I think I can give Esme her stuff later. Also, I forgot to split for the first trip to the wine cellar. Whoops. 2, 1, and then 4. Four here is me rejecting actually getting a elective class. You can take an elective class and either take science in order to get some cool gadgets and other consumable items to help you out on your questing. Or you can do magic in order to get like the ability to sense magic and get some rune stones that help in combat. Or you can take healing class, which I actually don't know what happens there. I've never done that. So I think today's a good day to talk to Esme and get her to like me. So I should be able to give Katie the golden wine, which will be shared with Esme. Now go to Esme and give her the beaded necklace. And now I should be able to talk to Esme. Okay, this took a little longer than... It took a little longer than if I had talked with her on day 6, like my notes told me to. But we should be in good shape now. Esme should like me well enough at this point that if I fought the giant Proach, she would come in from behind and help me fight it. This is pretty important because I haven't gotten myself nearly powerful enough to take on the Proach. To fight the Proach, you are expected to first of all team up with Esme and also have somewhere around 40 for all of your stats. It's day 3, so I'm going to choose option 3. For the most part, whenever I have choices in class, I'm going to choose not to say anything if I have the choice to not say anything. This will usually produce fewer text boxes. Oh, crap. I forgot to nap. I was just trying to run straight to the kitchen, but that's not at all what I should be doing here. Pretty much from here on out, I'm going to be taking a nap in order to get into the dining room. There are a lot of characters in this game we're not really going to meet at all. Aeolus, the roommate that you can see in my room playing the panpipes a lot of the time. He gets a crush on most of these characters at one point or another. So, Sophia Miranda, the receptionist, also a spy, she is his first crush, and then it's Moira. Another character that's around is Ifitaya, I think her name is. I'm scrolling down my notes a little bit to catch up with where we are. So what just happened in class there, why Turk interrupted, is that there is someone running around stealing random crap from the school. It's not valuable stuff that's being taken, it's random, just generally useful school items. What it turns out is the case is that some little fuzzball, apparently is a quirk. Basically, it's the Meeps from Quest for Glory 1, but it turns out that they weren't able to use that for some legal reasons, so it's the quirk now. Anyway, the quirk is taking random stuff in order to create his own school. That's basically what it comes down to, because they really like that this castle is occupied now rather than just filled with spooks and whatnot. There's a lot of dark history behind this castle, as it turns out. We'll see a little bit more evidence of that later on. We'll eventually connect in with the catacombs. We'll eventually find a dungeon. You know, like torture chamber type dungeon. That kind of thing. So, yeah, the point is the quirks like there being a school here and that they're trying to follow suit is more or less how it goes. But he's taking stuff that, since we are the rogue class, we call ourselves the disbarred bard class, but that doesn't seem to actually be fooling anyone. But people look at the fact that stuff is being stolen and they say, aha, must be this class that's responsible. So our class will be booted from the school if we don't do something about it. You can be the hero of the day if you want here, but as far as becoming Rogue of the Year is concerned, it's unnecessary. So what happened in that class right there was I just got plus 10 to my perception stat, which is a big deal. By getting 10 more perception, I now should have 35 perception. Let me go ahead and check that my stats are what I need. No, it's not. I'm actually too short on tools use and too short on perception. I wonder why. Do I get perception plus 2 for anything else? No, I don't think so. Is the perception gained from class actually random? I didn't think it was. Well, I do need 2 more perceptions somewhere. I guess I can listen to the dinner door after I've done that. Trying to think where else I can get the 2 remaining perception I need. I'm also confused as to why I'm missing 2 to begin with. Being too short on tools use is okay because I'm likely to gain the remaining tools use whenever I'm unlocking doors in the sea caves and whatnot on my way to saving Joel later. So I'm going to elect not to deal with the quirk at all. Eventually, Thomas Kent, this fellow, is going to take care of the problem for us. He's the character that wanted to be a paladin instead of a rogue and got slammed into the rogue class anyway. And now has to figure out what he's doing with his life. Eventually, he becomes convinced that being a rogue is actually okay after all, that there's actually a lot of similarities because, at least in this universe, paladins are not necessarily law-abiding individuals. In this series, paladins take a little bit of a like vigilante approach to justice. They will always side with those who are in need of help, even if society had already condemned them, say, for their previous crimes or whatever. Whoops. Oh yeah, this is right. This is a free day, that's why I have to rest so many times. Still really concerned about the fact that my... maybe that's what I did. Maybe I took a wrong choice in the personality exam at the start. That would have given me 2 less perception. Well, regardless of the reason, I need to somehow get 2 more perception. I guess I can just, like, listen to this door over here. There's one of my perceptions I need. And I will need 1 more perception somewhere. Oh, crap. Crap. Okay, whoops. I hit the wrong button there. I fat-fingered it. I meant to press 2, and I accidentally pressed 1. So, Thomas caught the thief. He didn't actually expound on who the thief was. So I believe that from this point forward, I won't be able to interact with the quirks, which does mean that I'm not going to get one of the better hints that becomes available for dealing with the Drat invasion that happens later on. But you can still solve that regardless. You don't actually need to acquire the information as long as you already know where you're going. Which is a little odd because a lot of this game does check what information you have acquired and change your options and your abilities to do things accordingly. But the final series of events doesn't really do that. I am left a little bit with the impression that the final series of events was probably kind of rushed development-wise. So Katie just made a remark there that she needs to do some extra practicing with lockpicking. She's really good with throwing and fighting and that kind of stuff. She's a pirate, yar. But lockpicking and climbing, it turns out, are not really things that she's practiced before coming over to Hero U. Katie's quest, the thing you have to do with her in order to get her to vote for you as Rogue of the Year, is actually the most interesting thing in the game, in my opinion. You have to go through the entirety of the sea caves. You're given one of 2 quests, depending on what you offer to do whenever you team up with her. And then one of them involves either combat or winning a game of Pooba. That's the card game everyone plays around here, which requires that you get pretty good at playing Pooba, which is a skill you can train. Okay, so one... This is an essay test, by the way. How well you do on this test is in part based on your skills. I think. I'm actually not sure, but that's what the game gives me the impression of. I don't really have to ace the exam necessarily. If I was trying to become teacher's pet, then maybe that would be more important. There are a lot of achievements in this game that I think would be pretty interesting to complete. I think it would be cool to have a speedrun that had the objective be to get all of the non-mutually exclusive all of the non-mutually exclusive achievements. Because that would involve a heck of a lot less sleeping, because you'd have to get 5 of your stats to max level. You have to get 5 people to really like you, rather than here I'm just getting one person to sort of like me. You'll have to get maximum reputation with your teacher. You have to do all of the people's personal quests. So there's a couple I am going to be skipping here. I'm skipping Joel. Sorry, I'm not skipping Joel's. I'm skipping Kent's, because he'll still vote for you even if you didn't go through with it. It's during the Nights of the Dead, you'll see later. He wants to visit the ghost of his father. Whoops. Oh. And then the other one we're not doing is Katie's. Katie's requires actual stats. Regardless of which of the options of what item you grab you choose, you need to get a rope and grapnel. And you also need to get enough throwing and climbing skills to get around one particular room with cliffs. You also have to do something about a group of a few sea drats that are poisonous. So you need to figure out what you're doing about that too. So yeah, there's a lot of things you have to do to get Katie on your side. Anyway, we're on to day 20 here. Thomas is helping out Esme. If you hook them up together to be study buddies, then yeah, if you hook them up together, then Esme will like you for doing that, so will Thomas. But I don't actually need to do that. I already have enough reputation with Esme anyway. So today is the day we're going back to the wine cellar. We are going to pick up the Proach Brooch. So there's a giant Proach. It's advantageous for me to go down on this day for 2 reasons. For one thing, whoops. All right, I still do need one more listening skill, don't I? For one thing, Esme is actually present in the normal Proach room right now, this one, so I don't have to avoid that particular group of Proaches, so that's nice. I'll drop a safety save here just in case something goes wrong. Anyway, the other reason I'm doing the approach on this day is that this is the first day that the Houdini 42 is available for sale. I will get some money after I've defeated the giant approach here. So what should happen is Esme should pop up. Here she is. Who's a good girl? So Esme, Esme is invincible, to the best I can tell. She can take any amount of punishment from the approach, and that's fine. I'm just going to run away. My combat stats are far too low to be of any help in this fight. Anytime the giant approach decides to just stand there and fight Esme, that's the best scenario. Because, again, Esme appears to be invincible. So, the approach walking around, unfortunately, costs a little bit of time. So to the extent that we can avoid that happening, that's good. If it just sits there and fights Esme, that's ideal. Also, if Esme misses too much, it's possible that I could actually run out of space to run away. And if that happens, that's kind of a disaster, and I will just die. One more hit from this giant approach could actually kill me. I likely survive one hit, but it's not guaranteed. You're scaring me, Esme. She did this last time, too. Uh-oh. That's actually going to hit. Please hit. Alright. Well, we made it. This is kind of blocking the door, but that's okay. As long as you can see the door, you can interact with it. The way interacting with objects works in this game is that once you've clicked on them, you will walk as close as you can to it, and then the menu will pop up for interacting. So I got so injured here that I am going to get a message about that from Urwald in a little bit. So I'm cutting off the Approach's head. You're not supposed to be able to get the Approach brooch unless you have at least 40 fitness and can cut it off. I'm using the flee function here in order to get out of the dungeon immediately. Normally I'd have to walk out, but there's Approach in the way and there's a risk I'd die. Anyway. So I sell the loot of the head that I cut off. And now I buy the Houdini, and that's all the shopping I actually need to do. Alright. 4 minutes ahead from yesterday, apparently. Not yesterday, 2 days ago. Was whenever I did this for the first time. Okay, I do have enough perception now. I must have missed a perception up message that I got at some point. Is there some other class day that increases your perception that I've forgotten about? Was my perception lowered by being injured or tired or something? I don't know. Anyway, looks like we pick option 1 in class today. So there's a few things that can cause the teacher to comment on your current state at the beginning of class. If you're tired, then you'll snore, and then he will advise you to pay more attention. There doesn't seem to be any other actual penalty for being tired. I kind of wish there were. But generally, you become tired for the entirety of the following day if you go to sleep after 12, is how it works. each day will end at 1 o'clock no matter what. So anyway, Turk wants to talk with me again. He will get progressively more insistent, and it'll become more apparent as he goes through that he is actually relaying orders from the chief thief, who you eventually figure out is your uncle. Spoilers, yes, but... yeah, your uncle was actually the owner of the house that the chief thief ordered you to break into in order to try to find the lucky coin, which it was known was a key component of acquiring the raven, which is a symbol of being the chief thief, basically. So, he really wants to have it in order to legitimize his claim as king of thieves. But he's only going to get it once we fetch it for him. And yes, we are eventually going to give it to him. Reason being that we won't have the stats to defeat him in any particular way in order to stop him from getting the Raven at the end. There's a variety of ways you can do it. You can just train your smarts and outwit him. You can train your moxie and just dominate him. You can become really good at combat and just beat him for it. You can get your agility high and run away. All sorts of solutions. But we will be able to do none of those things. There we go. Alright, so what's going on here with Katie is that she showed us a treasure map, and then that treasure map got stolen. It was not by us, but she thinks we did steal it. We can clear our own name in a couple of ways, but we're not going to bother particularly because we are skipping Katie altogether. We do not need to get Katie's pirate booty that she's looking for. In the sea caves, there's 2 key items that need to be acquired in order to get it. She will acquire one, you can acquire the other if you team up with her. You can also find both of them yourself beforehand if you are thoroughly exploring the sea caves up to that point. Anyway, Joel shows up and he admits that he stole the map. He said he did it at the command of Sosi, but he's having second thoughts, so we've left the room unlocked. You can go in there and take it. Well, guess what? Just a little bit ago, we had a lesson about traps in the in Rogue class. And this is, in fact, a trap. Not because the wardrobe the map is in is trapped, which it is, but also because Sosi has called down Turk. 2, 1, 2, 4, 4, 4, 3, 5. All right. So that is the midterm exam. So here's Sosi really angry at us for not having taken his bait. So, yep. There's very few things you can do that Sosi won't get angry at you about, honestly. So, the next few days are the days you're supposed to be helping Katie with her pirate treasure hunt. We're not going to do that, so the exam we just took was the midterm exam. So we have a few days of midterm break here where there's no class, and because there's no class, yeah, because there's no class, we're just going to have to sleep for a longer period of time than normal. Anyway, the next time that we actually go do heroics is going to be whenever Joel gets captured, which is the next storyline. We are skipping this storyline altogether because we do not need Katie's vote. We will do Joel's storyline, which is actually pretty simple. All you have to do is get through the catacombs. Long enough to get to where Joel is. Then you flee and report back to the Paladins, and they rescue him from the Wraith that had captured him. That's where we're going eventually. You're supposed to be able to handle at least some fights with the undead along the way. But since I already know the exact layout of the catacombs, and I know the enemy's behavior as they move around, I'm going to be able to avoid fighting any undead, which will mean that I don't have to get a lot of combat stats that you're expected to have before you go into the catacombs. It's a really scary place if you're actually fighting stuff. All of the undead have special properties where they take less damage from normal physical attacks. They also drain life unless you found a amulet that protects you from that effect. And they're just really strong too. So you're expected to have a pretty wide variety of tricks available to you before you try to take on those battles. But we're just not going to fight them at all. We're going to sneak our way to where Joel is. But that's not for a while yet. We still need to advance through the rest of midterm break. So here's Katie complaining about how she's definitely going to get that treasure. Gonna get it by tomorrow, if not before then. So there is a journal system in this game, and it will keep track of like quests that your classmates give to you, like that there. Earlier, there was a quest that I got to try to find Aeolus's panpipes that he thought the thief had taken, but actually he's just so messy that he lost it under some pile of clothes. So this is the last midterm break day. So after this, we will at least get back into classes, and then eventually the Joel arc of this story will begin. In a lot of ways, this game is kind of laid out like an anime, where you get a character arc for each of the main characters, where you get their motivation, then possibly they change into being a slightly different person than they were before, that kind of thing. In that way, a lot of people have described this game as being more of a visual novel than an adventure game. The way I usually put it is that this is a life sim slash RPG instead of a adventure game slash RPG like the Quest for Glory games were. By life sim, I'm talking about the kinds of things that were really popular back when like Flash games were all the rage. There are a lot of the kinds of games where you'd um, be given a certain number of days to accomplish some task, and along the way you had to increase your strength, and then eventually when you were strong enough you would qualify to work at some particular better job, and then you'd increase your intelligence and that'd get you a different job, and then you'd manage your time between getting more stats and getting money and ultimately trying to accomplish some other goal. Those kinds of games are pretty common. There's a lot of similarities here because of how this game blocks out time to those sorts of ideas. So it looks like Joel's rescue is going to happen on day 32. So we're on day 28 right now, just a few more days until that happens. So I'm going to be gaining a lot of little bits of time over my previous run as I go through here, just because my previous run was my first speed run of this game, and it was my first time juggling between going through my notes and going up on what's on the screen. So I think I'm a lot better at that now, so I'm doing a lot less menu fumbling than I was before. I've also patched up my notes in a couple places where they weren't quite right. So on day 29, we're going into day 30. I'm going to use option 3 in class on day 30. There really is a lot of extra content in this game you're not seeing. You'll see a flash of a bunch of it whenever I go to save Cairo, because I'm going to be just sneaking my way past a lot of elements of that extra content. Like, you saw the ghost dog a little while ago. You'll see the bone for that dog that's stuck in the painting. And you can return that bone to him if you want to be a cool guy like that. There's also all sorts of other heroes you read about there. There's another one that needs some help, that you help by bringing a medal proving that he was in fact appreciated for who he was. It's a bit tricky to actually do that one because you have to learn who the person was before they became the Knight Sir Hans. It was like Red McMurtry was his name or something like that. So you need to find that out and then find the medal that was awarded to him under that name. I'm again ignoring a note there. I think that one was a wanted poster. Supposed to explain to you that your father and your uncle are in the Thieves Guild. Alright, so what just happened there was we got assigned to write an essay about friendship because we were bickering with each other so much. In particular, it was everyone against Sosi. What's actually about to happen here is that Sosi proves that he is, in fact, not anyone's friend by abandoning Cairo in the middle of the catacombs as they were searching for treasure. The only reason they were even there in the first place was that whoops. Yeah, the only reason that, they were even in there in the first place is because Sosi demanded that Cairo find some money for him. Alright, so here we go. Day 32, we need to rescue Joel. He's missing. Sosi says nothing about the fact that he abandoned Joel. So he's just stuck there being drained by a wraith. Slowly. Joel has some sort of tool that makes him not die instantly, but still, he is in some trouble. So the solution to that puzzle there was to spell out the motto of the Knights Luminar. So, although kobolds from World of Warcraft may want you to notate candle, we will in fact take candle. We will use our lockpicking skills here to open the secret path to the sea caves. From the sea caves, there's another secret path. Well, not so secret, but anyway, you have to know where it is. I will drop a safety save here. If you don't have chalk, your character refuses to advance from this spot. Presumably because he'd get lost or something. I don't know. Okay, so at this point I'm going to switch to stealth. There are a couple gogs here. I might be able to fight one gog. I can probably not fight two. Alright, we got past them. Should be able to switch to running stance here. The odds that I will... Okay, there's a chest there. That's kind of rare given how low my luck stat is. The treasure chests in a lot of these dungeons actually spawn randomly, which is kind of a strange choice. But anyway, when they do spawn, you can open them, and there's usually some pretty sweet stuff in there. Oh, crap. There's 2 gogs. I'm actually going to reload the room. That was the worst positioning of those gogs that I've ever seen. That's more typically what we see. Just a gog off in the corner. So this door here is why we need the Houdini 42. Without it, you're not even allowed to try to open this lock. So this door takes us to the crypt, or catacombs, or whatever it is. I will once again do a safety save here. If I get into combat with anything here, I am definitely dead. There is not even the slightest chance of me winning any combat here. That scatter there, its path is not at all random. So it may have looked kind of hairy there, but as long as I moved in that rather consistent way, I wasn't going to have any trouble. Which of the 2 scatters that can show up in that region actually exist is random. You can actually get 2 scatters to spawn there, which actually makes things really tricky to get past. You can do it eventually, but you have to kind of wait for an opening to show up. Okay, here's a pair of skeletons, or there can be one on the left. There it is. Pair of skeletons kind of pinch in on you if you don't get through quickly enough. Should be able to run for a little bit. Back to stealth. There can be a scatter here. Here it is. Those ghosts up there are lemures. They cast magic. They are even worse to fight than the scatters. Everything here, the scatters included, are considered undead. I'm going to just run along the south wall here. There's no enemies in this region. Reason being, there's a wraith. So here's the wall the wraith has put down to make sure that he can drain Cairo however slowly he wants. I'm just going to run away from the Wraith rather than try to fight it, because fighting it would be dumb. At least for me, it would be dumb. There's another exit to that secret passageway that leads back to where the dorm rooms are, but at this point I have to go to dinner anyway, so we may as well just do that. There's also some extra dialogue that shows up whenever you find the secret entrance, and I never have to use that particular passage again anyway. So the upcoming day is probably the shortest day in the entire game, even though it's actually one of the more eventful ones. Because what's going to happen is I report where Cairo is in class, and then he just immediately adjourns class for me to go team up with Mara and rescue Joel. And that takes up the entire day. So this is a super fast way to advance past day 33 here. So Mara is one of the paladins of this school. Defeats the Wraith long enough for you to rescue Joel. Defeating the Wraith is actually a two-part affair. Interesting, because I had a spare bandage, I actually used it there. I wonder if it'd be faster for me to see to it that I didn't have it. Anyway, I credit everyone for helping rescue Joel, even though I didn't actually consult anyone on the matter. Whatever. This happens a few other times. Like, the thing that bothers me with that particular instance where I credit everyone else with rescuing Joel is that the one person who really helped rescue Joel, Moira, is not in my list of people that I credit right there. So, yeah. Kind of odd. So pretty soon here, we're going to be heading into the Nights of the Dead. During the Nights of the Dead, I think you're expected to be exploring the catacombs. You'll eventually find like a Minotaur there that likes to play chess. Or you can just kill him in combat, I think, if you're a jerk. Come to think of it, in order to get the Bossa Nova achievement, if you were going for an all achievements run, I think you would actually have to kill the Minotaur, which feels weird. So the Nights of the Dead has a distinct Dia de los Muertos vibe going on. And during it, you can oh, I forgot to split for having saved Cairo. Whoops. Anyway, during the Nights of the Dead, you can talk with all the ghosts that are just out and about. You can also meet up with Thomas Kent and meet with his father's ghost. At that point, you will find out that Thomas is actually Janet, That's his original name. And he's a she, as it turns out. And disguised herself as a boy to get here. Not exactly sure why that part was necessarily required, but anyway. He had originally run away from home in order to avoid getting married off, so I guess in that sense it kind of makes sense. One nice thing about the Days of the Dead, if you're playing casually, is that Turk is not patrolling at all during the Days of the Dead. The Nights of the Dead. Like, even during the daytime, he's just not patrolling the hallways at all. Okay, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5 for that quiz. Save my notes, and I will trust my notes on that. We're going to skip going with Thomas to visit his father. That would be required to get all achievements, but Thomas and Esme both throw their vote to you if you deal with the Drat Queen. So, since I have the Proach Brooch, I will be able to bribe the Drat Queen to leave. So that's ultimately where we're going here. We got 1 vote from Joel for having rescued him. We will soon acquire 2 votes for dealing with the Drat invasion. That's only a few days away at this point. It's day 43, I deal with it. Drat invasion actually begins on day 41. You're just not allowed to access the path that is relevant until day 43. I kind of wish you had to do some portion of the many available ways to get hints as to where it is you're supposed to go before you were actually allowed to go in, but that is not how it works. This was a free day. Hence the long napping required. Basically, we're sleeping through the portion of the day that normally would have been occupied by class. So, with the ghosts around, you can actually talk with them if you produce a gree-gree. And in fact, you will have to do that if you want to get the Spiritualist achievement. I think that's what it's called. Something like that. Where you put all of the restless ghosts to rest. So at this point, Joel has stopped assisting Sosie via cheating. So Sosie's grades are suddenly taking a nosedive, and Master von Erwald is catching on to that fact. I think this is day 39 here? Yes. So 1 more normal class day, and then the Drat invasion begins. The Drat invasion is pretty cleverly done. In a typical playthrough, you should just be going through your daily routine as normal, but then as soon as you enter this room here, suddenly you get pounced on by multiple warrior drats that are more powerful than any of the drats you've seen up to this point. The basic drats are, in fact, the weakest enemy in the game, and they are the enemies that we fought in the wine cellar. But these are warrior drats that have way more stats. They have like 50 HP, which is around twice what I have. I don't have enough combat skill to actually scratch them at all, So I am completely depending on there just not being any drats along any paths that I have to take. So the scary parts are going to be whenever I'm returning to my room after having slept on the next couple of days. This day is fine, but the next two, the drat invasion's going on. And there can be a drat in this hallway right here. I don't think it's able to reach my door fast enough if I am running to it myself, but I've not run this enough times to know for sure that that is actually the case. One more thing I actually have to do here. I need to make sure that I actually got enough lockpicking skills. Yes, okay. You need 70 to deal with the Drat Queen problem, because there's one set of locks that require 70 lockpicking skill. Maybe the reason you need so much lockpicking skill is not because the locks are actually hard, but because there's a stone golem bearing down on you and totally stressing you out. As you're trying to pick it. I would prefer that they instead put a large, like, Moxie or Smarts or something check on. So yeah, you can see a lot of Drat corpses here. I've never seen Drats actually in this corridor except whenever you're in the daytime. I've never seen them on the way back to your room, but I wouldn't put it past the game to sometimes spawn them. Some enemy spawns in this game are random. So this is a fun day in class. Mr. von Erwald is trying to give a lecture about lockpick use, and he keeps getting interrupted. For him, it's trivial to take out these drats, but he's still getting annoyed that they're interrupting his groove. So tomorrow is the day when we'll do the last bunch of actual puzzles in the game. The final day will have a little bit of nonsense you go through too, but it's not actually at all hard. So at this point, Eliolus, I believe, has hooked up with Esme, or is about to. He goes through periods of pining for this, that, and the other girl around the school. Esme is the one he actually finally gets together with. As long as you are not getting together with her yourself. So I just failed the exam there, where I was supposed to demonstrate my ability to open a safe. Reason I failed it is that I don't have a trap tapper, and therefore was unable to do that part of opening it. This is way faster than actually having the trap tapper and actually using it. So you're just not allowed to interact with this painting until this day. You don't have to have a justification for going here. other than that you've played the game before and you know this is where you need to be. You can find out in a variety of other ways that this is where you should be. If you befriend the librarian, for example, you can get some useful information about the castle there. Kent is also a useful source of information, as is the quirk. And in fact, if you have befriended the quirk will start leaving apple cores in your room to indicate that he wants to talk. Alright, so if you are a smarter individual, then, like, if you have a higher smarts stat, then you can get through that check with Mortui wanting you to do the motto, the same motto we used for getting into the secret passage before, per lucem tenebras frangimus or something like that. I think it is. So you need to put that together. It takes me 3 tries because I don't have very high smarts, but eventually you are let in as long as you keep telling your character to try to do that. And I need to switch to stealth stance before I move. If you're in running stance there are actually some warrior drats in the area. This is a puzzle you can solve by going to a bunch of tombs that's to the north of this position. I can skip that because I already know the solution to the puzzle. You can also meet some ghosts that need your help there too. Again, a all achievements run would have to deal with that, but I won't in this run. So what's going on here is a tile puzzle where each of the different types of animals has a different type of tile that it's allowed to move on. So whenever I step on the dragon here, I can now move on air. Whenever I step on this bird, I can fly over water. And whenever I step on the bear, I can walk on fire. So just need to keep swapping around until I'm at the end, and then we're victorious. You don't have to do the puzzle again, ever again. So here's the stone golem I alluded to before. This is the room where I need to have at least 70 lockpicking skill. So I let the golem run toward the far corner there. There's 3 locks on this door. The golem will advance a little bit each time. As long as I moved correctly, this should be fine. I kind of wish your speed when you are running was dependent on your agility stat, because I've never grinded my agility at all. But nope, the only thing that actually matters for this is that you have 70 lockpicking skill. As long as you do, you can get through. There's another way to deal with the golem. You can actually defeat it by using a bunch of big booms on some grates, and then just eventually it can't keep handling the lava that it gets hit by each time, and then it dies. Or deactivates, I guess, since it is a construct. Alright, so my notes say to take option 2, then 1, then 1, then 2 with the Drat Queen here. We are going to offer the Drat Queen the brooch. So I show the brooch, negotiate to make her leave the area. Because the whole reason that those drats were even attacking the school was to search for that brooch that we had taken off from the giant brooch. Apparently the giant brooch was just some other... Whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Was apparently just some other person originally that had... stolen the brooch from her. And maybe it wasn't even a human. Maybe it was, in fact, just a brooch. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that the brooch made that brooch really monstrously large and powerful and all that, and the Drat Queen wants that power back. So, since we have the brooch, we can negotiate her leaving us alone, and that is what happens. So there, Aeolus was singing about how happy he is that things are working out with Esme. Hello, HSK Pixie? Oh, right. Weren't you one of the Shadowverse fellows? I think I recognize that name. What you're seeing right now is a Hero U Rogue to Redemption speedrun. This is a interesting hybrid life sim slash RPG game here. So it's made to be like the Quest for Glory series back from the era of DOS gaming, if that means anything to you. And the category I'm doing here, and I forgot to split again, whoops. The category we're doing here is to become the Rogue of the Year as fast as possible. So you become Rogue of the Year by as many of the other students voting that you were the most roguish individual of them all as possible. We will have our own vote, obviously. We will also get Esme and Thomas's vote because we dealt with the Drat Queen just a little bit ago. We will get Joel's vote because we saved his life. We will not get Katie's vote because we did not go through her chain of events, because her chain of events requires actually getting strong. Whoops. There we go. Lost track of my notes there. This is built on Unity. I believe it is true 3D. The original games were made in the old DOS point-and-click adventure game system that Sierra had. I don't know if you have any familiarity with that, but very much so similar ideas as isometric stuff. Yep. Yeah, we just kind of ignore a lot of things that we could do in the game. I do want to at some point do a all achievements speedrun of this game where you actually would have to go and do all of the things that you can do in an individual run. Beat all the bosses, at least one of each enemy, befriend at least 5 people, do all the major quests, all that stuff. But that's not what this category is here. This is what other people have speedrun for this game before. And so at this point, I am following suit for a large part there. So right there was where I claimed credit for having dealt with the warrior drat problem. You can actually choose not to claim credit, which causes massive uproar in the class because the biggest jerk of the class that everyone knows could not possibly have solved the problem claims credit in your stead, and pandemonium ensues. It's actually a pretty interesting little chain of events that starts there, but we're not going there because, again, gotta go fast. As a general rule, this game gives you at least 2 ways to approach every problem. Usually there's a third option, too, which is to not deal with the problem at all. For example, right here we've got Aeolus and his massive mess that he has on his side of the room. You can get him to clean it if you want to. You can try to be polite and get him to clean things up with like logic and reasoning and that kind of thing. Or you can try to make jokes about it, and that tends to work better. It takes fewer moxie or smarts stats to get him to actually clean the place than it takes charm. Yep. The Sierra games are most certainly known for dead-end scenarios. The Quest for Glory games were a lot better about it than most of the other Quest games out there, like King's Quest and all that stuff. But every once in a while, you could become a dead man walking, as they say. I've done speedruns of those games, too. There, a lot of what you're wrestling with is actually the interface. Because it was back before people had really worked out, like, standardized, sensible GUIs. So there's this weird mishmash of some keyboard shortcuts for things and some not keyboard shortcuts. Okay, so this exam is 3, 5, 2, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5, 1, according to my notes. You have to do at least somewhat decently on the exams where you flunk out of school, I think. Doing particularly well on the exams is also good for getting reputation points with Urwald, which is essential for one of the achievements. Not one I actually require, but still. So, Pixie, are you excited about the upcoming Shadowverse expansion? I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stream on the day it comes out this time or not. The upcoming week after today is looking like it's going to be pretty busy for me. But I will, whenever it is that I do open up the packs and start going through the single player, I will stream that. But you're pretty mild on it, okay? Is that because you're pretty mild about the specific cards that have been previewed, or just not really feeling that gung-ho about just another expansion? Come to think of it, I don't remember any announcements about new single-player missions. Usually when they do an expansion, it comes along with that, but I don't remember them explicitly mentioning that, so maybe there isn't. So we're nearing the end of the semester now. The day ends on day 50. The game ends on day 50, which is extremely brief. So here we finally actually have to get the Raven. It seems to be random where the envelope is that has the... There we go. Nope, it's not it. There it is. No? Wait. What else even is there? Thought I checked all the things. Do I also have to check, like, the sconces? No. Portraits? Well, this is a dumb way to lose time. I didn't know... Yep, I didn't know that the paintings could have it. It never happened on any of my previous runs that it was there. Alright. So, until you get this key, you just can't break into Urwald's office. That's just how it works. They constantly taunt you about Urwald's office because you keep getting things that seem like they should enable you to break in, but then it just doesn't work out. Okay, examine the desk. Unlock the drawers with a magical key. They make sure you don't get soft locked here by letting you use the magical key instead of the lockpicking skill, in case you never actually got enough lockpicking skill to open the drawers here. If you have the lockpicking skill, you can get there that way. Anyway, the teacher finds out that you're... Oh, I was supposed to use option 5, whatever. Oh, no, one for here. Okay, I was missing the spot. Anyway, we get a whole bunch of exposition. You can get this exposition earlier if, during the Nights of the Dead, you meet with your father's ghost. Anyway, we're back to the beginning of the game here. So we will need to put the lucky coin back here. We'll use the magical key to unlock it. There's a trap on this safe, but I never actually got the trap tapper, so I can't remove the trap, so I'm just going to take 16 damage here. It's not lethal, so it's fine. It makes it extra clear that I won't be able to fight Seamus here, our uncle, who is, in fact, the chief thief, and with the power of this raven will soon become the king thief. Seamus, 3. 1, I give him the statue and return to school. You can take the statue from him in a variety of ways, but I never got strong enough in any particular way to actually do that. We don't need the Raven to become Rogue of the Year anyway. Yes, I did lose some time there by taking that hit, but I also saved time by not having the trap tapper for an exam and thereby automatically failing the exam instead of having to go through it in the more normal way. So 116. Nominate myself to be Rogue of the Year. And I am Rogue of the Year. Hooray! Time ends whenever we fade out from this screen, because you actually do have some control in this screen. So here we are. So that's about a 10-minute improvement. I feel like there's another couple minutes to be saved in here by executing better, but whereas my initial guess was that 1 hour 30 minutes was maybe doable with this category, I'm now a little skeptical of that. Oh yeah, Sierra Games gave you that kind of soft lock all the time. You had to prepare for a challenge before you knew the challenge could possibly exist. So yeah, there we go. That is the base category that we've planned out for Kiryu Road to Redemption. At some point, I will probably route out a speedrun that does more than just sleeping on most of the days by requiring itself to do all the achievements that it can. This will require getting good enough at combat and having enough gear to do combat against like the Drat Queen, which is actually a really tricky fight if you choose to fight there, because you start with 3 warrior drats on your face, and then in addition to that, the Drat Queen is bombarding you with spells. I think the Drat Queen can also summon reinforcements as well. So that's a pretty nasty fight if you don't have the proper set of traps and whatnot to work with. You can fight Seamus at the end. You can fight the Minotaur, I guess. I've never done it, but I think you can. I prefer to beat the Minotaur at chess because, you know, the fact that you can do that is just awesome. You can date any one of the girls, or multiple of them if you feel like it. Or you can date one of the guys if you're into that. One of the achievements is, in fact, to get someone to accept the one and only ring from you. So yeah, there's just lots of little things to do. You only saw, like, probably 60% of the castle as I was running through various rooms. You didn't see at all either of the wings where the elective classes are held. And there are elective classes that I just declined each time. So on and so forth. There's just a lot of stuff in this game, and you didn't actually see a lot of it in this speedrun. I would like to do a speedrun that shows more of it, but we're not there yet.